Friends, welcome back to the Fire Pit. Richard here, and I just hope everybody's doing well. It's been quite a week here on this beautiful afternoon, and I just wrapped up a work day. Now I'm just hanging out by my fire pit, and who knows, may start actual fire here in a little bit. But it's been quite a week. We just came back off the off the Anvil. If you watched any of the past videos for the last couple months, you've heard me talking about the Anvil, and talking about and trying to encourage men to come out and join us. And turned out to be quite an amazing weekend, quite a ride. And we had some men up there that were just locked in and just honed into what was going on. And it was so wild, because it was crazy to me that it had been a whole year since we've been out there, since we've been out and held one of those weekends. And to invite this group of men, and most of them were brand new. Most of them it was their first time. We had several returns, which I always love. I love having a mix of brand new and returning alumni to these weekends. And it's such a cool experience, and it does my heart just such good to be able to be there and share my heart, and be able to teach this message of helping and guiding men, of recapturing their hearts and discovering their hearts, and going on a treasure hunt to discover, what God may have in store for them, and where God's trying to lead them next, what the next frontier of their life may look like in their life with God. And some of these men were brand new believers. Some had been walking with the Lord for years, if not decades. But it was amazing to see the transformational movement that would happen, that started to happen, that continues to happen in each of these men. And it's so good. It was so needed. It was so needed for my heart, not being able to be there, because these and teach these men, but also being able to stop, being able to allow my heart to rest a little bit. As frantic as the weekend gets for me and the team, we're running around, we're getting things ready, getting ready for this session, that session, and getting ready. Who's teaching this session? Who's teaching that session? Make sure the audio's working, video's working, and on all those things. And and with me and my personality, I want to make sure all those things work out right, so that there's as little as lost in translation as we go through it. And it was cool. It was cool to be able to do that, and be able to just go through all that. And it was still a time of good rest for my heart, and a way to kind of just step back from the front lines for a little bit, because this year, as you all know, has been a wild ride. And right now we're in the midst of, we're 2 weeks out since the election, and there's so much going on here in this country, so much turmoil with that, and we don't know what's going to happen, who's going to win, who's going to be the president, who's not going to be the president, what's that going to mean, and all this stuff. And it was just a wonderful escape from all that, because honestly, we don't know what the next year is going to have. We don't know where things are going to lead next, and this was an opportune time for these men to be able to step back and recharge themselves, their hearts, and prepare for what may be coming next. We don't know what that is. So it may be good, maybe bad, maybe little of everything in between. Or it may be the return of Jesus. We don't know. We just don't know when he might come. So, but yeah, it's so good. It's so good to be able to do that. And I'm happy to stand here and share today that it was just, I feel like personally that the weekend was a success. And speaking with some of the men, some of the feedback that I've received from men that have come has been tremendous to see. And whether they're a first timer, or whether they're a past alumni, this also movement in a number of different avenues, number of different realms, a number of different things, from true breakthrough and healing to realizing, some men realizing that they had been living life as a lone ranger, a lone wolf, and striving to break free from that, and which is definitely a life that I'd been in, and for several years before coming to faith myself. So I get that, I understand that, and I think the theme, if we had to pick a theme for this week, for this weekend, and for this year, it had to have been the importance of brotherhood. My buddy Butch, I love that man dearly. He's the one. He and I started this mission together 4 years ago, and this was going to be his last go round with us, at least as a part of the team. If he comes back, I'd love for him to come back anytime for it. But he's moving on to some things in his life, and areas where he knows God is needing him, for him to stand there and also share a piece of his heart with how much brotherhood has meant to him over the course of his decades of life. He is a valued sage in my life, a valued, very, very close friend, and I'm thankful for him to be a part of that. So brotherhood had to have been the key theme that we really hammered on, and how important it is for men to have others in their life, other brothers in their life, other men that they can call brothers, that they can really truly walk with, not just friends and acquaintances, but true, trusted, accountable brothers, the ones that walk with one another, like-hearted kings that truly want to do life together. And I think that's what we are after this year. Because I think in the midst of this COVID-19 crisis, everything that we've dealt with this year, I think isolation has kicked in a lot of ways for a lot of people. I think in many ways for me it has, because I mean, obviously a lot of us dealt with these shutdowns, these quarantines, these stay-at-home orders, all the other crap that was thrown our way, and they're talking about it in some areas of the country again, and it's isolated a lot of people. I don't care how much you can Zoom, how much technology brings you together. You've got to have life. Life is not done through a camera lens. Life is not done through technology, through the internet. It's done life on life with one another, in person, walking life. That's why I'm so thankful for the men. I get to gather around this fire pit every couple weeks when we do our Holy Smokes gatherings, and I'm thankful for the life that's done there, because that's where life is truly found. We can't do it. We can't legitimately do it and sustain it through a internet medium, through Zoom and whatever the technologies are thrown away. So I really feel like that was the message we wanted to hammer home this weekend, and I feel in many ways several of the men actually received that message, and even some of the team. I think some of us really realize that how much we need one another, and how much this year had isolated so many of us. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that chance to be there and teach and guide and lead that rally cry, if you will, for more brothers, for more men to walk with one another. And so it's interesting. I stand here and I'm talking about all this, and I shared something this morning that was very that just kind of hit me. Today, as I'm recording this, is what's referred to as International Men's Day. It's hard to know what to make of that, especially the overarching theme. I guess their themes are different every year, but it's and when you look into it, they're different themes. Some of it can be a little twisted in some different ways, but I really found myself in a position to want to redeem what that day should be about, and how important it is for men to step out as men, to be men, to not be afraid to be men, because this culture in many different ways is telling us that masculinity is a bad thing, that being men as we know it and as God has called us is not always a good thing. There's commercials to the like. There's different things. There's a commercial we play at the weekend that kind of plays to that so uncertain, where this group of men is going through what they call this all the different characteristic traits and from the thesaurus of what masculinity means, and none of them think it sounds like them, and that this is who they are. That they're all talking external, but none of them are talking internal. I got this image of this singer that's out, and him in a dress that's on these magazines now, and it's been and it's this other the message in that is that it's okay to be this expressive and in so many ways. But the thing about it, again, it's focusing masculinity on this external appearance, when everything, it needs to be internal. That we have to stop and look at what's going on in the internal to understand truly what being a man is about. It's not about all the external. The external, what we see, our actions, what people see on the outside is reflects our core beliefs and our motives 100% of the time. So what's going on inside? And if it's that twisted, where dudes are parading around in dresses and thinking that's okay, I question that. I question the motives. I question the core beliefs there. I question there's a lot of woundedness that drives that kind of thought process in a lot of ways. And I'll say it all day long, but that's the actual truth. So yeah, and that's what we need to be about. So my really hope in today is that we can recapture the essence of what it means to be men, that men are not afraid to be who they are, as long as they're living under the guise of walking with God, with the one true living God, and with Jesus as a big part of that equation, as a main part of that equation. And there's something that we share that always gets shared when we do these Anvil weekends. I think it's something that John wrote in Wild at Heart that I feel is very important for men, and that it's this. If you look on page 153 of his the revised edition that he released, I guess on the 10-year anniversary. I think it's on page 151 on his original print of the book, depending on which one you may or may not have. It simply says this, that the world of posers is shaken by a real man, and that this world would do anything it takes to get you back in line, bribe you, threaten you in so many different ways. They crucified Jesus in the garden, but it didn't work. Remember him, and then the sheer force of his presence, how it knocked men to the ground when he said that I am, when they asked who was Jesus, if he was Jesus, when they were going to arrest him. He says that many men are so afraid to let their strength show up because of what the culture will say. Fine, he says. The world is screwed up. And let people feel the weight of who you are and let them deal with it. And that's the truth. Be who you are as a son, as a beloved son of the Father, as a man created in God's image, not making excuses for being a man, not making excuses for any of that in any way, shape, or form, but stepping out as the man you were created to be, not some wounded version that your false self has created, some false narrative that's been created within you. Be who you were created to be. I will repeat that all day long, and that's something a theme that is so true to my heart and so true to the way I've really, really desired to live and to live out my life. Just watching homie on the four-wheeler here driving by. So yeah, that's really what I want to talk about this week. Again, men, when you feel like that message is being lost, when you feel like who you are is being questioned, and that your place as a man is being devalued, remember the truth of who you are. Remember the truth of who you are as a beloved son, because it all begins there. When you receive that identity and you know that identity is the true thing about you, then through your identity is your new name, and through in the trueness of who you are. And you can live that out without fear of what the world may or may not say to you. Let the world feel the weight of who you are and let them deal with it. Again, that's what this world needs, is men who aren't afraid, men who will let the world feel the weight of who you are, of who they are, men who will continue to stand up for themselves, their families, their faith, their in God, in Jesus, and never be shy to let that go. And that's what I want to talk about this week, and I'm thankful to be able to stand here and share that, even with all the noise in the background, and I hope all this comes through. I never want to let that go. It's been a tremendous transformational thing for me, for my life, and I just want to be the man that continues to guide men in that direction as well, to be able to come out and step out as the men that they were always meant to be. So let this be his point. If that's a place you're questioning, if you're uncertain about that, ask me about it. Message me, richard@deeprootsministries.org. I'll be happy to talk with you about it. I'd be happy to sit down with you, answer any questions you may have. Never be afraid to be who you are. Never be afraid to be the man that God is calling you to be. The world needs men. Men have been a huge part of the problem, and yes, we can and will be, with God's help, be a part of the solution. That's where I'm at this week, friends. It's been an amazing ride, and I'm getting back into the swing of the work week, and we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving next week already. It's crazy. As long as the year has been, it feels like Thanksgiving has come up on us really fast. But I'm just so thankful to be here and just be able to share my heart again, friends. And until next time, we'll see you again. Another Firepit conversation, friends. Take care and God bless.